little 60 piece. That's only the neck though.
Last night a bitch nigga shot a real nigga, but we don't make no diss records, we just deal with it. Plus I be going through a lot, I never talk about it, and they using niggas songs in court, so I can't talk about it. Rap niggas think I'm dumb, like I don't see the play. I let them think they got the ups, then get them out the way. On FaceTime, my brother telling me he shot my mama, telling me to chill, but I know he seen that nigga face. But that's enough about that part. Talking about respect, well it's a must about that part. Playing with my money, well then it's up about that part. Cause when it's time to play ball, don't give a fuck about that part. They know I'm that nigga when they see me. Her man crush been a hater and her little brother won't beat me. Her friend been on my dick since I was passing out CDs. Her baby daddy a mark and her boyfriend probably a weenie. 3,300 on my book bag. Left some niggas in the past, but I don't look back. Shit kinda different, I ain't the man that I was. I seen death in too many forms and I ain't never really shook that. Don't let him rock you to sleep, true colors better believe him. I know that God got me, but I be riding with my reaper. Praying with my kids and even then I got my heater. And I be stepping so hard, this hoes in $1,000 sneakers. Take your bitch when I meet her and you ain't seen her in about 3 days. Knew I was a threat, I passed that stick like a relay. Spin it back to back, it's like a motherfucking replay. Turn your son into a bitch when I shoot, I think I'm D-Wade. Told him I'm a savage, if I want it, I'ma have it. Playing with my lettuce, cook your head like a cabbage. Tell them that I'm rich and I'm solid, that's the advantage. Bitch, bad kids, fresh little nigga, you can't stand it. Tell them big checks, yardsticks, not a ruler. All I smoke is ops and I don't never smoke a hookah. Looking for a blessing that's worth it, Jesus and Judas. Tell them niggas game 6, my whole team full of shooters. I slide on a nigga like a motherfucking flip-flop. Pressure on your homie and I promise he a flip-flop. Talking that wooty-woo, something. I know the police listen, so I ain't really saying nothing. I know these niggas envy, they can't manage how they feel. Jealousy's for bitches, you niggas pussy for real. A nigga get the drop and he happen to shoot. First we heal up and get back, we ain't going on the shirt, I swear to God, nigga.
That wooty-woo, something. I know the police listening, so I ain't saying nothing. Talking that wooty-woo, something. Nigga, cock back and aim and leave you bleeding where you running, swear to God, nigga.
Seven you guys that I have to put together. This one right here is very dangerous. The outcome, is a crazy one that I want to share with the younger generation because we're talking about relatives, we're talking about brothers, we're talking about familia, how your own people get done dirty, how your relatives, your blood brother gets done dirty, and you don't learn from that. Instead, you join the same neighborhood that took out your brother. That, to me, is embarrassing. But let's get right into the video. So I'm pretty sure you guys...
What's the deal, y'all? We're Trapper tapping in 10 in Trap News Network. Back in the same, like cracking the same here at 10 and Trap News Network. It's that good news you can use. That good knowledge, though. You ain't finna get nobody's college, though. Big dog, tap in with that tap in to make sure you're, in fact, tapped in with the good tap in with everything we got going on here at 10 in Trap News Network. News you can use, knowledge you ain't finna get nobody's college. Hit the like, hit the comment, hit the get subscribe button. Everything we got going on here at 10 in Trap News Network. News you can use, some good knowledge you ain't finna get nobody's college. Tap in with the tap in to make sure you're, in fact, tapped in with that good tap in. Hit that notification bell. Hit all, say tapped in for the latest and the greatest of what we got going on here at 10 in Trap News Network. Like, comment, subscribe. For more of this good content that we got going on here at 10 in Trap News Network. News you can use, knowledge you ain't finna get nobody's college. You feel me? We finna get to this good content. We finna get to this good news you can use, good knowledge you ain't finna get nobody's college. Let's tap in and see what's going on with the F13s. Shout out to Renegade Media. Let's get into it. Let's go.
Guys are familiar that Florencia 13 beefs with so many gangs. They're a big gang, a big organization when it comes to Southern California and even across state lines. But they do beef with a lot of people in Southern California. In this particular video, we're going to talk about the rivalry between them and Playboy Sureños and how they use derogatory, disrespectful terms like peanut butter in the same sense that Playboy Sureños disrespect Florencia by calling them flowers. Now, this gang loves to represent the Florida Marlins logo hat. That's what they represent. And in this particular story, this dude right here, whose testimony, you can find it online. He testified against his own crimes because he got involved with something at the age of 12, and at the age of 17, they finally pushed his buttons.
Now, you got involved with something at the age of 12, and it held you to a grown man consequence? Sheesh. That's how serious this gang relations get, and that's how serious it is when you are dealing with the Southsiders and all that kind of stuff. So all the people who got anything to say about Lil Brazy, and he's a kid, and don't worry about this, don't worry about that, blah, 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 and all this and all that, you feel me? Nah, bro, they don't care. They don't care. If you old enough to jump into the game, you old enough to get struck out. Period.
They finally wanted to see what he was about. They finally wanted to see him put in work. And he put in work in a situation where he didn't actually pull the trigger himself and kill somebody. but because he was present and he was there and he happened to be gang affiliated with Florencia 13 and the co-defendant in this case and the individuals that were all part of this scheme, this plot to go gun down a Playboy Sureño, that's probably why he testified. And I've said it many, many times. All these youngsters think it's hella cool to join a gang or hang around with gang members or be affiliated with gang members and be a part of the lifestyle until the situation arises where they do catch a murder case and then they fold.
And then it's, oh, I was only 15.
Which is nothing wrong with that. Even though in this, I guess you could say, gang culture, you know, that's snitching. Oh, you're not cut from the same cloth. Man, there's so many different phrases people will say, but the truth of the matter is the kid, at the time when he was 17 years old, admitting that he joined the gang from 12 and 13, especially following his brother's footsteps and the way he looked up to these gang members in this particular video. You know, we all made choices in life in such a nature. I did so myself.
Yeah, no, that's real. You know, we all get led to, you know, right or wrong paths, and sometimes the path we take isn't always the best. But, you know, you get caught up in these adult situations where, you know, you have to live your adult consequence of your adult actions.
Only problem is I didn't testify on my co-defendants. He did. So he was hanging around with the co-defendant in this particular case, Basic. But somewhere in the paperwork, they identified him as Husky as well. But his real placazo was Basic. Basic happens to be from Toker's clique of Florencia 13. But in reality, he went to a hangout spot with two Florencia 13 members, Lil D, a.k.a. Lil Downer. Downer happens to be from 61st neighborhood of Florencia 13. And then he kicked it with this guy right here, Lil Fader. But the young kid that testified in this case, I believe is from Maldito's clique, a clique that I talked about in one of my recent videos as well. So he's hanging around with Lil Downer and Lil Fader. And Lil Fader, a couple of days prior to the situation,
Lil Downer and Lil Fader, if they make the most, look, all you need is a puppet and a black Mexican named Negro, Crow, Shadow, Darky. You know, the black Mexicans always got the craziest names. It's always Shadow, Crow, Negro, Darky, something like that of that nature. You know what I mean? But, you know, it is what it is.
she got blasted by some Playboy Sureños. Cool part about it, they only shot the boy in the ankle. If anything, they probably took off a big toe. That was it. You ain't gonna bleed out from a big toe. But they, you know, they gave him
Believe it or not, you actually could bleed out from a big toe.
pregnancy woman ankles, bro. They swelled his ankles up. He had stitches. So he goes around with Lil Downer, with YG, aka Baby Blackie. He goes by two different names in this particular case. And Basic. And he starts showing them the war wound that he got shot in the ankle. That's something that deserves retaliation, right? Because that was the motive for all these Florencia 13 gang members, that their little homie, one of their friends that they got jumped into the neighborhood together with, that they hang around with and grew up together with, got shot in his ankle. Left them with pregnancy ankles. So they get mad and they get furious and said, hey, bro, they need get backs. Retaliation is a must. And Lil Fader's pushing the issue because he's the one that got shot. So now YG, aka Baby Blackie, understands that they want him to retaliate and go put in work on behalf of Florencia 13 and in retaliation of Lil Fader almost getting knocked down. So what they did is they hopped in a vehicle. They hopped in YG's vehicle. From there, they went and found a van that they didn't need the keys to start, a stolen van. So
Found a van they didn't need the keys to start. Means that van does not belong to you, big dog. Because guess what? Every vehicle needs to start? A key. So if you riding around with a vehicle that don't need a key to start, chances are you riding around in a vehicle that is not your vehicle, big dog.
now you got two different vehicles, but Basic and YG are in the stolen van, and they went to Playboy Sureño territory. When they caught somebody slipping, don't know his nickname, just know his real name in accordance to the paperwork, and didn't hesitate, hopped out the van and gunned him down and left him for dead right then and there. So you got four Florencia 13 gang members going to put in work doing a drive-by with one 357 revolver with a brown handle. That's it.
Wait, did he say he got like three of them with one blower? Hold on, let me run that back.
They hopped in a vehicle. They hopped in YG's vehicle. From there, they went and found a van that they didn't need the keys to start, a stolen van. So now you got two different vehicles, but Basic and YG are in the stolen van, and they went to Playboy Sureño territory. When they caught somebody slipping, don't know his nickname, just know his real name in accordance to the paperwork, and didn't hesitate. Hopped out the van and gunned him down and left him for dead right then and there. So you got 4 Florencia 13 gang members going to put in work doing a drive-by with one 357 revolver with a brown handle.
Yeah, that's too many heads on one blower, big dog. That's way too many heads on one blower.
That's it. One gun, 4 gang members. Only one's gonna commit the murder, but all 4 of them are gonna go down for murder. Make that make sense, right? But you're gonna see that happen a lot in social media with a lot of these kids. One of them's gonna have a switch, bust, everybody else is gonna go down for it. Somebody's gonna eventually tell. So they gunned down a Playboy Sureño on the streets, jump back into the van, bounce out, ditch the van, jump into the other vehicle that they're all driving in. Cops pull them over and they were under the assumption that they were pulling them over because of the shooting, but it wasn't that. So they hopped out the car and they ran. Either way,
as they should have ran. You know you was out here busting these 1-2 steps like Sierra, you better beat your feet.
all of them get busted. Cold part about it, the only person in this case that pulled the trigger was Basic. And Basic got a life sentence for murdering a Playboy Sureño. But what happened to all his co-defendants, right? Well, let's talk about YG right here. His actual testimony is online. It's in the case law People versus Jimenez. He told on everything, told about the whole case in particular, how Basic did the shooting, how he was affiliated with Florencia 13, how he didn't want to put in work that day, but pretty much was told and instructed to go put in work. And it's very understandable, a 17-year-old kid that doesn't want to obviously catch a case, go down for a murder that he didn't commit, but he was present for the murder, and he testified on his own clip. Cool part about it is he actually got out, and he was on the streets for a year. Guy ran out now, but he was only on the streets for a year, and his homeboys from Malditos Kid gave him a pass. They gave him a pass.
Damn, they gave him a pass? Okay, let's hear about how that happened.
Until Florencia 13 as a whole found out about the paperwork just as easy as I did, pressed the issue. He didn't get DP'd, he didn't get jumped out, didn't get murked obviously, but they gave him a pass to walk away because his uncle is one of the biggest members of Malditos Clique when it comes to Florencia 13. His name is Swiftly. Swiftly gave him...
And that right there is how you see how the politics will never be fair. So be careful, kids, because if you expect the politics to be fair, the same thing that can get you unalive can get somebody else a pass. Because if you think that you can snitch on somebody and you could just be exited out and be allowed to leave, no sirree Bob. No sirree Bob. No sirree Bob.
Enough protection.
You will get handled for snitching.
To give him a pass, ran him out with no, I guess you could say, regard and beating him up, which I understand he's protecting his nephew. I get that part. Everybody else turned a blind eye, but they weren't okay with it. Basically said, hey, you gotta bounce and you can never come back. But obviously, he's all over social media right now as we speak, banging Florencia 13 to this day. So obviously he ain't learned his lesson. But the lesson that should have been learned in this particular video is that he has an older brother that passed away in 2009 because his older brother right here did the same exact thing. Got put in work with some of the homies from Florencia 13, went put in work, caught a case, ended up testifying against his own homeboys, came back out, went to his neighborhood, and they actually gunned him down. Some older veteranos from Florencia 13. So he ends up following in...
So he ends up getting knocked down because somebody's sticking to the program. Got it.
His brother's footsteps by joining the gang. And then the gang that he joins did his brother dirty by murdering him because he testified to save his own life. So he testifies in this case and then decides to go back to the same neighborhood as if they weren't going to find out, and they found out anyways and ran him out. But luckily, they didn't take his win like they took his brother win, which is very unfortunate because that would have been the eye-opener that I would have needed back then as a 17-year-old kid.
Now, can you imagine his brother now having to pay the price and cover his sins when his brother didn't, in fact, actually do anything? His brother was, handling what he got to handle, and now his brother got to go ahead and catch a 1-2 step like Sierra because this guy decided to make a crazy decision.
My brother died at the hands of the gang that I want to be a part of, that he testified to save his own life and they murdered him for it anyways, and yet I'm in the same predicament as my brother. Do I want to resemble the outcome of my brother, or do I want to be better and do better for my brother's sake? The kid didn't learn his lesson. Another interesting detail about the story is this guy right here, Lil Downer from 61st Street of Florencia 13 neighborhood. NBH, I think it's something like that. He's in jail right now. You know, this is him in a cell, all thugged out, tattoos. He actually caught a case as well. Cool part about it is that he got caught for stealing a vehicle. The worst part about it is the paisa actually stole a vehicle from a woman. Carjacked her, beat her up, violently left her there while he jacked the car, created a fake title, sold it to Lil Downer. Lil Downer gets...
Damn, nigga stole your car, made a fake title, and then sold your car. Barnacle, yes.
The vehicle gets caught. The paisa also gets caught as well. And Lil Downer testifies against the paisa, saying that, you know, he got it off the paisa. But the paisa only gets 6 years. And obviously Lil Downer, you know what side of the yard he's on when it comes to the California State Prison. The moral of the story is this. I showed you guys all these kids, man. They're all young in these pictures, but they're all of age now. They're all adults, so they're going to be held accountable like adults. They're going to be tried as adults, and some of them went to prison as adults. But they were all young when they did this, becoming overly ambitious to be part of a gang, especially Lil Fader, who changed his last name. He goes by a different government name, but the kid hasn't learned his lesson. He told on his gang, but he wants to go back to his hood. And he's playing with fire because I read so many case laws like this where these kids want to go back to their neighborhood and be cool again. Because what? It's a juvenile record. He can't be held accountable for it. Bro, these gang members are treacherous. They're scandalous. And they will betray you in a heartbeat for the next man. And your gang betrayed your own brother and burying your own brother for the same thing that you did, and you want to go play with fire and play with your life. It's very unfortunate that you can't learn your lesson that easy and that fast. That you're going to be one of those kids that are going to have to learn it the hard way, and I hope you don't. If you're listening out there, I really hope you don't. Because
Hey, man. All I'm going to say is everybody do better, man. Do better, do better, do better, do better, do better. Because this is a lesson that this kid did not have to learn, but he put himself in a crazy situation. You feel me?
read numerous case laws when it comes to Florencia 13, and I have more to come. How these individuals do murder their own. But it goes for any other gang and any other organizations. When they want you gone, especially when you testify against one of your own, bro, there's no room for error. There's no room for mistake, and there's no room for recovery when it comes to the gang culture. They will take your life. And I don't think your family wants to do that, wants to grieve like that again. And that is very unfortunate. All these kids did was join a gang, try to put in work, and realize that when it was a murder case, Basic, the only one that went down for it because he's the one that pulled the trigger, I'm pretty sure he went through his... I'm pretty sure he's doing his term right now like, damn, I trusted all these fools. I kicked it with these fools on a daily basis, and they did me dirty like this. I'm pretty sure...
But then who else is going to do you dirty except the people who you kick it with and you hang out with on a daily basis? The only people who can do something to you are those close enough to do something for you. You feel me?
When he put in work, it didn't cross his mind that, man, my boys might tell on me one day. And I'm pretty sure every single one of these individuals that was involved in this particular case was thinking the same thing. Like, man, I'm solid, bro. I would never turn on my homies until you're fighting that life sentence. And only one man went down for it before we're present for the murder. Crazy story, right? So
yeah, that's a crazy story, man. But y'all know the deal. Red dots to the left. Y'all know the rest. Free Avenue Angel Tweets free. We gone.